Some of the strongest women you will ever meet didn't become strong by choice. They became strong because life gave them no other option. Welcome to Stronger Than the Story. Real women, real overcoming. I'm Janae Robinson, and these are the conversations that prove that your story may shape you, but it doesn't decide what rises next. I'm here with Bettina Evans. Bettina is a spiritual advisor, 500-hour registered yoga teacher, certified embodiment coach, Reiki Master, Tarotist, and founder of SolEvolution. She has practiced yoga for nearly 20 years. She completed her first yoga teacher training in 2019 and has been teaching and expanding her knowledge of yoga through experience and continued education since. She has combined her knowledge of the sciences, yoga, meditation, Reiki, tarot, and personal experience to bring a unique perspective to healing and allowing evolution to occur in one's life. She loves to share her knowledge and assists others in realizing their own potential and innate wisdom. Bettina is passionate about helping others achieve a better quality of life through esoteric and movement practices. Welcome, Bettina. I can't stop smiling.
Appreciate it. Appreciate that warm welcome.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. So you were in the first summit that we
Yes.
did last year,
Mhm.
and and I you wanted to come back. You were the one that actually spurred this whole thing
Yeah.
to make it a second year.
Yeah.
So
Oh, good. Thanks.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, because you were like, I think I want to do that again.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
So when I hear your bio, I hear strength and wisdom. And so what part of your story do others not see?
Um, it's funny when I think about that, I think that there's so much of everybody's story that we don't see because everybody is so multifaceted. And I think when you meet someone or you see someone, whether it's like online or a friend, or maybe really anyone, you see um, parts of yourself, right? That like draw out because I don't know that everybody sees that in me. And there's parts of my story that probably people will never know. But I think it's the reflection of someone else's own story, how you can see yourself in someone else. So when you see strength and wisdom, uh, I tend to think that that's because you're wise and strong within yourself. And that's what you're seeing in me because it takes like to recognize like. And I'm sure there's things about you that maybe I'll never know and personal moments that I'll never fully understand, but each individual has those and like having a deeper understanding about that we all have all these different things that are maybe like nuanced and different, but I don't know that that really answers the question, but there's plenty that people will never fully know or understand, but that's not just unique to me, that's unique to everybody. Like that's everybody's story. So,
Absolutely. I think that you answered that very well. So
thanks.
you've kept diaries. I recently found this out because
Yeah.
you've been pretty vocal on social media. So
Yeah.
you've actually kept diaries throughout like pivotal moments in your life.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, why was it important for you to write those things down as you were living them?
Oh, I don't even know how that started. Really, I've loved writing ever since I was a kid. I had in the third grade, I had a teacher that we had journal time, and I remember my little third grade self was I would wake up so excited about the story I was writing. And I had all this little stack of journals, and I remember when I was a teenager, I threw them all away because nobody really cared. Uh, Nobody in my life really drew that out of me. It was just something that I genuinely loved, and I still love to this day. I still get excited about like having my writing time every day. So when I was around, I have journals from 1996, and I think I was probably about 14, 15 from the oldest journals that I still have today that I have not thrown away. And I don't know why it was important to write. I just had the impulse to write. And I think that sometimes that's how spirit works through us. We have these things that we just have to do, or they just like pour out of us for whatever reason. And for me, that's writing. And I know that for other people, that might be something else. It might be communication, it might be doing interviews, it might be doing little league or whatever the case may be, but we have these innate things that are in us that we're just drawn to. And I feel like for me, writing is something that I've denied myself for a long time, thinking that it could go somewhere. And recently I shared with you a moment ago that I decided to write a book because I've wanted to write a book. I remember when I was in that third grade class, there was the teacher like had a book and they were like, "Oh, this was written by another third grader." And I was like, "Oh my God, I could do that if I wanted to." And then I lost that. I lost that spirit. And it just dawned on me recently again that I could do that. So, um, I gathered all my journals. I might be getting off topic here, but I gathered all my journals and I realized I have journals writing for every year a stack. And during COVID, I have a big stacks. So for every year since 1996. And it's just something that I just had to get out of me. And it was a form of self-reflection, building a self-awareness journey. I did it to document when I was in abusive relationships, actually. And I think there's questions later that will can unpack that a little bit more. But because I didn't remember, sometimes we have blinders on, and sometimes when I would write things down, it would help me remember because when you're in relationships where you're gaslit and stuff, it's actually really handy to be like, ooh, but I wrote this down for myself, and I know that this is what happened and this is the truth because I'm being honest with myself in those moments. So there's a lot of reasons to write, and there's a lot of reasons that I did write throughout the years. And mostly it is like my personal story and journaling and just unpacking a lot of emotions and documenting my life, really. And just really having like a practice. To me, it was also kind of like going to the gym where it's like having this daily practice of writing is like working that muscle at the same time. Because at one point, I did the artist way, which a lot of people are familiar with. And I uh, have done like 2 years where I've dedicated writing a minimum of 3 pages every day. So now I set a timer for 30 minutes typically, and that's the minimum amount of writing that I do for a day. Sometimes that is 4 pages if I'm really like just going, but sometimes it's only like two or three. So yeah.
I think that's awesome. I did the artist way as well. And there were days where I was like, I just would draw a big heart on one page. I'm like, okay, that's my third page
Yeah.
because that's all I've got. And
Yeah.
so it really is about opening the doorway to what's inside.
Yeah. And some days it's 3 pages, and some days it's like that, or doodling or whatever. And some days I cannot stop myself from writing more. And like I just have so much to pour out and get out. So yeah. Anyway.
That's amazing. So when you reread your younger self's words now, what stands out the most?
Uh so the so what's strange is I have not really practiced rereading until very recently. And it's actually there's a lot of sadness. Um there's a lot of things that are just like, oh, that's so unfair, that poor little girl. There's a lot of that. Um, sorry.
Take your time.
But there's also a lot of like, fuck, look how far you've come. Look how much you've overcome. And like it's really amazing to see how far I've come and how much I had to like pick myself up and how much I had to unknowingly, blindly believe in myself because I didn't have a lot of support. Um, so it's actually really hard. And like one of the earlier journals, and I was like, when I unpacked all my things, like I said earlier, I went to the beginning and I was like, oh, let's start here with some stories. And I uncovered it was a planner that I was writing like my doctor's appointments from when I was pregnant and when I first gave birth to my daughter. And her I was 15 when I had my daughter. I was 14 when I was pregnant, and her dad was 7 years older than me. Who thought that was okay? I don't know. But some of the of what I wrote was like, oh wow, this man is clearly cheating on me. And also there was things that I wrote where he actually literally was beating me up and dragging me across the street by my hair when my 3-month-old daughter is like sitting in a car seat and other people are watching, like our mutual friends and things are, and nobody does or says anything. And that was just like the lifestyle because it was like a lot of gangs and things like that in that area. And I'm like, wow, girl, you've been through so, like, what a different life. And also to be able to see how I've gone in through, like, had different lives and different lifestyles all in the same life. And it's all accumulated to this. But I could have been completely different person than I am now. I I could have easily ended up in prison with some of the things that I've done and been through in my life and like just or a druggie or something like it could have gone a completely different way. So I'm just, yeah, it's crazy to look back at some of the things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say, is there an entry that still takes your breath away? But I think, yeah, being drug across the street, down the street by your hair with your
Mhm.
3-month-old, that
Yeah,
is definitely something that would take my breath away. It takes
yeah,
my breath away just hearing it.
yeah. There's some really good things. There was another story that I was pulling the string on the other day about when my granddaughter was born because she was preemie and she stopped growing in utero. So it was really touch and go. And that story, I wrote about it a couple of times and I was in a hospital room by myself, but I could hear the whole birth. And like, there's no way like I could recall it in as much detail as what I wrote at the time, but just like everything specifically about being in that moment and hearing her. And then at first she wasn't breathing, and I'm like over there like on just like we drove to Seattle in the middle of the night. I live like an hour north of Seattle, and my daughter was like, "Hey mom, they want to take the baby right now. Like they'll wait for you to get here, but get here as soon as possible." And just flew to Seattle. And then so you can imagine like I'm just white knuckling it, and then I'm just like so on edge in the room. And as soon as that kid was born, it was like the release of emotions that happened, like just bawling tears and laughing at the same time because I had been hanging on to all this stuff and holding it, and my body was so fucking tense with this kid. And she's 8 now, by the way. So it was just like that. And I read that the other day and I was like, I mean, there's just these moments sometimes that we have in life where when you recount it, maybe you'll package it up in a summary in a sentence or two, and it won't be as intense. If you write about it as it's happening or close to it, the richness of that memory and that story will be so much bigger, and you'll remember it with so much more.
I think that's true because I know in the artist's way, she really doesn't want you to look back until later in the chapters. And
Yeah.
so I have stacks and stacks of journals as well, and yoga classes that I've written and ideas that I've had, all sorts of things. And so I decided, okay, I'm just going to go through all this because there has to be some richness in here. There has to be something that I wanted to do that I haven't done yet.
Hmm.
And when you start reading back, it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that, or I forgot about this little portion. Because
Hmm.
yeah, the parts that we take forward sometimes are a lot smaller than the actual story.
Hmm. Yeah.
So you shared about becoming a mother at 15.
Yeah.
So what do you remember about that moment in your life?
Mm. Uh, I I remember actually being really happy. And it might sound really weird to a lot of people out on the outside of that, but at that time, I was basically a high school dropout. I ended up going to teen parent for a little bit. So, and I was working at my grandmother's restaurant. And when I was pregnant, like in school, doing that, it was not bad. And I was with my daughter's dad. But when my daughter came and I had her, she was everything to me. And I remember when I was pregnant, I loved being pregnant. Both of my pregnancies, I just loved being pregnant. I took such good care of my body. And it was the first time in my life that I really felt value within myself. I think one of the things that I often say is women don't end up pregnant at a young age because they come from a good home. You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't come, I'm sure it can happen, but for the most part, there's probably some neglect and th other things going on at home when women are pregnant at a young age. And that was definitely true for myself. So it was definitely, I just felt a lot of value in myself. And I don't think my life would have been the same had I not had my daughter and my son also later because they gave me so much purpose and drive for myself because I wasn't just living for me anymore because I didn't feel a lot of value within myself. So they gave me a sense of value and purpose in my life, even at that ripe young age. So I feel like I was a better mom at age 15 than I was when I was in my early 20s. It's because I just had so much time, care, and attention put on my daughter, especially when she was born and like young. So yeah. Looking back, I'm like, that's crazy. How did you do that? But at the time, I remember just being really like, oh my God, I have a baby. And she was just my world. So,
Yeah. I had my first baby when I was 20, which is still very young. And so, just what you're saying, I can relate to that is they're just your world
yeah,
and you just do everything that you can to do the best that you can.
yeah, yeah.
And so how did that experience shape the way you saw yourself as a young woman?
Oh, man. You just think you know everything. You think you know everything at that age. And you're like, oh, you have no idea. Um, I think that, well, it made me realize a lot of things. And obviously, I had to grow up really fast. And I was just so naive. Um, as far as how I saw myself, I wanted to be a lot more capable than what I was. And I think that that's one of the things being capable has always been like a really strong thing for me. Even when I think about like working out and being like physically active or like getting education, it's like I want to be capable. I want to have something to offer. And I think that really my having my daughters is where a lot of my journey started on like self-improvement, even though it was like really small and subtle things, just like trying to eat better and just educating myself on how to eat, trying to maybe exercise and not even knowing where to begin with that. Like I said earlier, I was in teen parent, so we read book like they taught us nutrition and how to cook and like they taught us like about parenting. We had to read a book about disciplining babies, which you don't really discipline them because they only
Not
cry after
anymore.
something. Not anymore, yeah.
That's what they used to think, yeah.
And yeah.
Do you feel that having a grandchild, like you approached it completely different or exactly the same? I I've
Oh,
I'm completely different.
100%
Uh
different.
Literally, yeah, 100% different. So
It's like you have all the fun and zero responsibilities, right? I still, it's funny because people though, like the other day, I can't remember where we were, but they're like, "Oh yeah, you probably give your grandkids all the sugar and whatever they want." And I'm like, "Oh no, if anything, my daughter's the one that gives them more sugar than I do." When I still am very responsible because I think like our food industry poison, and I tell them that like the kids. So when I'm with them, we actually do still eat healthy. Yeah, I take them to the park and we get to do things that their mom wouldn't let them. They're running around being loud. Those things don't even bother me. Like, parents, I think get so annoyed with their kids because they think they're with them 24/7. But when you have them, it's like you expect that loud rambunctiousness. And I also keep like they follow the rules with me. Like I have two grandkids, one's 6 and one's 8, sisters, so they fight a lot. But for the most part, they listen really well when they're with me because even though I'm grandma and we do a lot of fun stuff, if they're crossing lines, they already know, so they listen to me because I kind of don't like I don't discipline them like my kids, but
Yeah,
we
I
do
had
way
to
more
learn a
cool
whole new
stuff.
language. What was that?
Yeah, I said, and we do way more cool stuff than I ever
Yes.
did with my kids.
Yes. Yeah. I
Anyway.
know with me, I literally have had to learn a whole new language. And but it works with adults too. So it's helping me not only with my grandchildren and my relationships, but also really in any relationship that I
Yeah.
have. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's just so interesting. And
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting how well they respond.
Uh-huh.
I'm just really interested in how well that they respond.
Yeah.
And I wish that I had that information when I was younger.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, for sure. So what did you need back then? I'm still kind of taking you back. What did you need back then that you didn't receive? Because you said there was a 7 year difference. Like somebody
Oh,
should have known that probably wasn't the best. So what did you need back then?
oh, a responsible adult in my life, I guess. I don't know. I
That's a
feel
good place to start.
I mean, I to summarize, I guess where it came from. My mom, I did not know this until I was probably in my late 20s, early 30s, that my mom is very narcissistic. And at this point, we don't really have a relationship. And I didn't know because my mom and dad have 6 kids. So there's 3 girls, 2 boys, and then another girl. But as each of us older girls were going through puberty, you basically if you have a narcissist parent, that you're no longer their child, you are their competition. And I didn't realize that until much later. And in hindsight, it's completely obvious. But as a child, you just want the approval, especially of your mother or father, depending on your sex. My dad was great, except for he was really depressed, I think, and also in hindsight. And he soothed himself with alcohol. Like, so my dad was pretty much alcoholic and like trying to tolerate my mom, and my mom is a narcissist that cannot be pleased, and also a hoarder, and a whole plethora of other issues. But I think what did I need? Stability. We moved also a lot. We moved every year that I was in elementary school, we were in a different state, except for when we lived in Idaho, but we did live in 2 different cities when we lived in Idaho, so we still moved. Um, I needed someone to actually pay attention to me. It was like survival of the fittest in my house. My older sister was more of a mom to me and more of a parent. And she's only 2 years older than me. I mean, she was doing our laundry and everything, probably like 7, 8 years old, and just did it. And then, yeah, she was the one that like woke me up from school. We were late for school every day. Like it was very strange to think about looking back at. And I don't want to say that it was all bad either. There was things in my childhood that I remember. I have positive memories, especially of mostly of my siblings. My mom was in bed a lot. She slept a lot. I think she's like also has aspects of bipolar. She has like She's has a lot going on, but it's funny because I feel also as an adult, there's a certain level of understanding that you have, and I feel really bad for my parents because they just did the best that they could, just like their parents before them, just like their parents before them. So and I still need things, right? I have to, it's like this reparentification that's happening for myself right now, even still. And sometimes I'm like, why are you still dealing with the emotion? I'm going to be 45 actually on Saturday is my birthday.
Oh, happy
But
birthday.
thank you. But I'm just like, how are you still dealing with like these feelings when it's like logically they make no sense, but they're in your body and they're
Yeah.
like in your DNA and in your emotions and it's like how do you work through all that? Which is part of like with somatic exercises and embodiment and all those incredibly helpful. A lot of people tend to, so I feel like I'm going off the rails here a little bit,
No,
but like
nope,
even
nope.
with affirmations and stuff like that, it's like every little bit has helped shift me into who I
Yes.
am today. And I had to start somewhere. I mean, I remember I had such a terrible body image. There's so many things. I mean, I was picked apart by my mom, and so are my sisters. And we all have like a certain level of, I don't want to like, I don't even want to say body dysmorphia, but just always feeling like fat, ugly, like not attractive. And I'm like, I'm actually pretty attractive. Like, and I remember when I was in my younger 20s and I was like serving bartending and like people would tell me that I'm like, "Oh, you're beautiful." And I would think that they're lying to me. I remember thinking that people were lying to me until I realized one day, "Oh, actually I am attractive." And it's weird, like to logically know that, but you never really feel it because you didn't ever really grow up getting that reinforced. In fact, it was the exact opposite that was reinforced. So it's just really weird when you see, and now like be like with energy work, it's funny because I can see it on people. I can see even if there's like the most gorgeous woman, and I'm like, she has the lowest self-esteem.
Yeah,
And then there will be someone that's like less attractive, but they're magnetic because they have so much self-worth. And it's so crazy the way energy works like that. And it has nothing to do with the way you physically look.
I agree.
Really
It really
crazy.
is, that magnetism just comes out from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And and just hearing what you have to say, there's just so much that I've mirrored in my own life, not being able to take a compliment. I remembered learning how to just say thank you when someone said something. I just had to learn how to say thank you and
Mm-hmm.
just accept it. Whether I believed it or not, just said thank you.
Yeah.
And these little things. But when you have poison drip, 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 drip throughout, honestly, I believe it starts in utero when
Mm-hmm.
our parents are pregnant with us because we can feel the sensations of our mother. We can hear when she is talking or how she feels about herself
Mm-hmm.
through vibration, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then when we're babies and all of these things that lead up to who we are. And I feel like there's a beautiful uncovering that has happened in you
Yeah.
because I see the magnetism.
I
I
think,
see the beauty, right?
yeah.
And I remember in our last interview, I asked you about your body because I felt like she just has like confidence in her body. The
Yeah.
clothes that she wears, the yoga that she's doing online, and you're like, well, let me tell you about that, right?
Yeah. I've come a long way.
Yeah.
And when there was a point, and I don't even know how I came up with this practice because I didn't even know who Louise Hay was at the time. But I had this, and I have a lot of spiritual practices that I feel like I should share more, but they're like so close to my heart. But when I was in my late 20s, for some reason, I had a full-length mirror and I would stand in front of my mirror and I would tell different parts of my body that I loved it. And this is something that I actually bring in my yoga classes all the time when I'm teaching. like especially with the hands, like looking at your hands, because our hands are doing the work of our heart, right? With this is everything that we bring into the world and create, and think about how many things we create and build with our hands. And like we've cared for children and all these things, like our hands are amazing. And I just do that for every part of my body. Like even like if you think about your ears, your mouth, your voice, your eyes, like every part of my body, I feel like I've talked to and like told how much I love and appreciate. And I'll even do the like, I don't even know, like when I first started doing that, I'm like, where did this even come from? It was just something, again, that came from, I think, inside of me that I was like, you know what? My body works so fucking hard. Like, I work so hard. Like, I deserve to be loved. And like, I think that those little moments, like of shifting and realizing the value that I have in myself, or that I am valuable. We all are inherently valuable. We all have value and we all deserve love. And just realizing that it's not just something outside of me, but it's something that's in me that I have. It's my birthright, right? I feel like
Yeah.
everybody is, it's everyone's birthright. So I don't know where it came from, but it was just a habit. And sometimes even when I wake up in the morning, I'll do a little practice when I'm still laying in bed and I'll like wiggle my toes and I'll be like, oh, I'm so glad I have all my toes and they can wiggle this morning, because it's not just that you have them, it's that they can actually move and feel and take in its sensory information because we're still here alive and it's amazing. So
Well,
all
and
of
it
that.
sounds so grounded and it
Yeah.
sounds so slow, where when we want to stay regulated in our life,
Mhm.
because we all know the red zone, fight, flight, all of that, we want to stay grounded. We want to slow things down.
Mhm.
And it sounds like the perfect start to any day, right?
Yeah,
Honoring your body before you even get out of bed, looking at yourself in the mirror and just honoring every part of you.
right.
What a beautiful way.
And also, I just like to preface with that practice, if anybody did want to try it, you can do it in 2 minutes. You know
Oh,
what
for
I mean?
sure.
You spend 30 or more scrolling on your phone daily. Like, if you just give yourself that little bit of time in the morning, every little practice that I do, yeah, sometimes there can be a more in-depth practice, but oftentimes I make it something that's really quick, easy, and accessible so that I will do it on a regular basis. You
Yeah,
know?
I think that that is really something I'd like to lean into here
Mhm.
as well, because oftentimes the things that are the simplest or the shortest, we're
Mhm.
still not doing. And
Right.
why is that? Why is that? Why do you think that that is?
Uh, I think that there's a couple reasons. One, we didn't tell ourselves the lie that we don't have time for it. I think the issue is deeper that we don't think that we're worth it. And I think that sometimes when you do practices like that, you do come up against resistance. There was another thing that I practice is affirmations because, again, quick, easy, accessible. And there was one affirmation that when I said it out loud, I choked up and felt like I was going to cry. I was like, this isn't real for me. And now I have no problem saying it. And I'll share what it is. It's life loves and supports me.
Mm,
Life loves and supports me.
yeah.
And I don't know why that was like that little affirmation or mantra was like heartbreaking to say out loud.
Yeah.
And also, when I do my affirmations, I am typically looking in a mirror in my own eyeballs. So that one hit hard. When I was writing it down, I was like, oh, this is a good affirmation for whatever the thing is. And I was like, that hurt. It hurt in my body. My body was not willing to accept it right away. So,
Yeah, I think personal growth is not about pretend. It's not about fake it till you make it. It
yeah.
really is about the resistance that we feel,
Mhm.
because that's where a lot of times we stop. It's like, "Oh, I don't like that." And then
Mhm.
we just don't do it anymore. But if we can stay with it. And I remember when I was doing my yoga therapy trainer, I had an amazing mentor. And he was one of those people where if the whole group got together and was just silent, you know how sometimes that might make you uncomfortable, like, oh, we have to fill this silence as a mentor or a leader.
Yeah.
And he would just sit there and breathe and just be like, oh, isn't this silence amazing?
Yeah.
And I remember talking to him because I was doing bridge and my body would shake. It would shake. And I didn't know about shaking back then.
Yeah.
And I would say, every time I do this, my body shakes. And he says, well, what do you do when it shakes? And I said, well, I either lower down or I push further. And
Mm.
he said, well, what would happen if you just felt the shake? And it's like really getting embodied into the words, the feelings, because everything is stored within ourselves. And
Hmm.
I didn't know at the time that the shaking is releasing the trauma.
Yeah.
And and so I just want to encourage anybody that's watching that when I come up against resistance, I really start to celebrate it and go, oh, okay, well, this is uncomfortable. This
Yep.
is interesting.
Yeah.
What am I going to do now? Right? What do you do when you come up with resistance?
Uh, it's funny because I think like being older now, when I was younger, it was you want to run away from it. And now I get excited too because it's like this is an opportunity for me to build more awareness. This is an opportunity for me to go deeper within myself and just like, yeah, approach it with more curiosity. And also in other situations, like I said, when I came on, it's like when something's fallen apart, it just means something else is about to come together. And the more you experience those shakeups, the more you have faith that something real is coming out of it. Um, Shaking is crazy. I did a 60-day nervous system reset. I don't know if I told you about that. And wow, I think on the other side of that, I feel so much more calm and relaxed. More, it's really interesting because there's shaking and you can make shaking happen in your body intentionally. And anyway, that was profound. But also, uh, when I did my ayahuasca journey, which I don't think we talked about that before.
I don't think so.
I on day 3 of this retreat, this ayahuasca retreat, the amount of shaking, like my whole body was shaking and so tense, and it was like alien surgery. If you've done ayahuasca, then you'll get it. If not, then maybe not. But it's a wild ride. It was, and I felt like I lost 50 pounds after that 3 days. So a lot of shaking happened for
Wow.
hours, for hours.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that it's just really important, you know?
And as a somatic exercise, there's another like I almost want to I'll make a video about it later.
Yeah.
But like when you make yourself shake, you can like point your toes and dig your heels in the ground and then your whole body will bounce. You know what I'm talking about?
Point your toes and oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah,
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 so
yeah.
your whole body kind of bounces.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's actually really good to do, like anywhere from like 30 seconds to a minute, and try that like 2 or 3 reps of that. But notice how your body will just sort of like have this buzzy feeling and then like calm down. That's actually targeting your nervous system too. So, and there's so many little shaky things you can do. I mean, you can do it on your hands or like on your feet too. But really, when you're doing a somatic practice, you want to target smaller muscle groups, not large muscle groups. So it's better to do laying down in bed, something like that. So,
Yeah, I agree.
bed
And
bar.
it's yeah. It and again, we already know how to do fast really well. In our
Right.
society, we know how to do fast really well. We know how to be late. We know how to hurry up. We know about caffeine. We know about all the things that keep us going. Red Bulls and all those things. But
Mhm.
slow, I don't know why my cat is just running around. I don't know if you can hear her, but she's like running up and down the stairs.
Yeah.
Um, but slow and taking just those couple of minutes to do little things for ourselves
Hmm.
is something that I think I'd really love to encourage everyone to just explore and see how they feel. And I love the nervous system resets. Those are great too. I haven't done one like a 60-day or anything like that, but I can definitely see how beneficial that is. So where do you think as a culture that we're just missing it?
I think you just got done saying it. The slowness.
Do you think, yeah,
Yeah.
I see it on so many levels, not just that, but a lot of different levels. So is there any other levels aside from nervous system or, where as a culture that we're just missing it?
I think also less is more. I think there's so many things that are being missed right now. And while obviously I'm on social media, I do social media, I think like it's such a huge time waster. I almost just I feel like it's a place to go and rescue people, in some ways. I, I think people are overworked and tired. I feel like there's so much uh, fake connection that's not like really connecting and being in community. There, even I've talked about like the way that we eat, like so many things that need to change and be shifted. And the truth is, we can't tackle all the big world problems, and nobody has all the right answers. The only thing you can control is yourself. So the more that you can come back into your body, the more that you can like try to control what you eat, how much you move, making sure that you're connected. And if you feel called to make more connections in your community to make a difference in your local community, that's where real change is going to happen ultimately. We can there's and group power in numbers, right? So if you build a community that has the ability to go to other places and do bigger things, amazing, all for it. But there's so many people in our local communities that are going without, suffering in so many ways. When we start to do the inner work, we're able to give back more. In even in my journey, there's so many times that I was not able to give back in any sort of productive way. Sorry, my focus already turned off. Do not disturb. Thank you. Um, I almost lost my train of thought, Janae. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay.
But I just think
You were
that,
talking about how there were times when you really didn't have the resources to give as much as,
right.
in a way
And,
that
and
would make a difference.
right. And so even now, um, and haphazardly. I can't, I accidentally became a yoga teacher. I just went for my own self. But what it did, it gave me a lot of tools for connection and it gave me a great platform to do all these other things because I would have never got into somatics or embodiment coaching or necessarily meditation to the deep levels that I have at this point. I was already into meditation, but not as much. So I recently actually have started a new job at teaching yoga at a rehab center. And it's like those people are really outside of their body.
Yes.
People that are addicts tend to have, I mean, they have so much trauma, probably, and they don't know how to, they have
Yes.
little tools to manage it. Those people are probably have, I think most people have trauma, but if you're choosing addiction, you don't have any tools to manage your trauma. And you're just trying to numb out. Had I chose to be in addiction myself or to continue down the path, who am I serving? I'm contributing to the problem. And now I'm here to be like, hey, you know what? I was there too, bud. There is the light at the end of the tunnel. And yes, you can do it.
Right.
Yes, you do have value, So I just think that the more that we do for ourselves, the more that ultimately is going to radiate out into society. And I might not make a huge difference to the world, but maybe I touch somebody in their life and am able to change the trajectory, which I've actually gotten that huge compliment from several people. And I have so much gratitude and like joy and love, sense of pride in my heart that I was able to like facilitate that shift for someone else or be a part of it because ultimately I didn't do the work, they did the work.
Yes.
Just because I shed light where they could do the work, that I got to be a little bit of a part of it, but that still isn't me. That's them doing the work. That's them deciding to do the work. And that's where it's where it's really important and also really rewarding, right? And it makes me feel like proud that I just keep deciding to do something different for myself and not giving up. And that's ultimately what we all have to do. If we want to see real change, if you care about your grandkids and your great great grandkids and all of that, and you want there to be a like nice earth and environment for them, there's going to be shit in every life, but we have to kind of make it good as best as we can.
I think so too. And I think being intentional about those things is a great way to start. I know for me, when I found the hashtag 7 generations, I was like, huh, how am I affecting the next seven
Yeah.
generations? What am I doing? And as a
Mhm.
grandparent, I've really invested in my grandchildren in learning that new language of how can we tell somebody that we don't like something and I didn't like it when you took that toy, give it
Mhm.
back. ha- Teaching those communication skills is going to help them through adulthood. It's going to help their children, hopefully their grandchildren, and so on and so on. But it just raises the frequency and the vibration of our world in treating others as human beings
Yes.
and focusing on the eternal, not just the gratification of, the here and now, the
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, for sure.
So, was there a turning point in your life when everything started to make sense for you?
Oh,
Or has it not happened yet? I kind of feel like
no,
I
I
think
feel
it's going that way. And then
no, yeah, I would say there's been a lot of turning points where I'm like, oh, this is my happily ever after, and then nope, just kidding. Uh, but but these are the wild rides in our story, right? This is just part of it. It's just part of life, and I'm excited to see where it goes next. My life has came crashing down a multitude of times where I thought that I had it all together and this is my happily ever after. And then it was like, no, that's not going to work out. And we can only plan so much. So I, more than anything else, I feel like I have just surrendered to the process of life. And this is to the last question, to that point is doing what I can in the moment, in the here and now, and in my community, and for my personal self that makes me feel fulfilled. Because I think the more I pull that thread of what I want to be doing and what I'm attracted to just naturally, that's spirit guiding me towards what's right for me and what my mission and path is in this life. So,
awesome, thank you.
yeah.
So, you talk about helping others realize their innate wisdom.
Mhm.
How does someone begin to trust themselves again after trauma?
Oh, that's the big question because I think that it's a two-part problem with intuition. I feel like everybody has innate wisdom, everybody has intuition, and one, you just have to trust when you do receive messages. I feel like building an embodiment practice and like being in your body and actually being aware of your physiological signs is a great place to start. I also feel like having a recognition of whatever your trauma is, because oftentimes with intuition, we'll confuse that for like maybe familiarity and we'll deny ourselves. I know what happened for me when I was younger. I denied my own intuition for moments in moments that were probably like scary or something because I was like, oh, this is normal. This is how this is supposed to feel, right? So I think that starting with really tuning in to whether that looks like a meditation practice or an embodiment practice or somatic, but building something to where you're very aware of like your physical body, your physiological responses, because that's going to be the first key to unlock some things. You know, when you have that gut upset or that feeling in the back of your throat or even the hair stand up on the back of your neck, something like that. Those are really strong signals, right? Um, I don't know if that answered the question,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think that that's where I would start because I think that we've made a habit of denying ourselves that our intuition even exists and then writing things off as if it's a coincidence or whatever. So,
And then also, I'm coming back to your earlier relationship, and I'm thinking about being aware of the relationships that we're in right now, no matter what our age is,
yeah.
being aware of the relationships that we're in, and having that awareness and having the tools to understand the toxicity in certain relationships that we have, right? And I was
Yeah.
thinking I was going to ask you, um, because I said, I'm never going to get that image out of my head of him dragging you by the hair.
Yeah.
But that age difference, it's almost like he was a parent. Am I correct in that way or no?
He definitely
Or were you just scared?
mm, I mean, he was obviously there was like a whole courting phase and all of that. And I pretty much what moved in with him, but he lived with his parents still. I was escaping my home that was toxic, so it was like a place to go. And then I just ended up moving in with him and like it got physically abusive pretty quickly, but I didn't realize that there was something wrong with it. You know what I mean? So I guess there was a certain air of familiar, like it didn't feel good, but it didn't feel wrong, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then when I was with my ex-husband, just talking about other relationships in terms of this, uh, he's also very narcissistic, and I did not realize that either. Literally, other people had to tell me. And I'm just like, wow, again, really? But he wasn't necessarily physically abusive, so I thought it was okay. And also he's covert passive aggressive. So I was like, but he's so good to other people. He does all these nice things. And but he's only nice to me in front of people. You know, like,
Yeah.
oh, so terrible. And
I
that's
think
what I'm saying. Huh?
untangling that is a
Yes.
process.
Oh man. And the thing is, when you're in these abusive relationships, also, this is when you have the most distrust for yourself. Like, but then you deny your own intuition to to keep things cohesive or stay in this relationship that really would be better if it ended because, well, I have struggled with having abandonment issues also. So it's like I want to hang on to this even though it's so fucking toxic, but it's familiar. So I'm clinging and it's just it's a really unhealthy cycle and that's why I think the frustration of being like, oh, you're this age and you're still dealing with this. It's Yeah, the untangling is the hardest part because I've learned how to not trust myself so much.
And
So,
how important it is to have a coach, right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I just feel like everyone needs a mentor, a coach, a therapist, someone,
Yeah.
a yoga teacher. in their
Hmm.
life that is is offering them something to contemplate,
Yeah,
because the narcissists, they don't contemplate.
they do not.
They don't contemplate. They just want a reaction. They just, they'll one up or try to control or dominate and those types of things, but there is no contemplation there.
Yeah.
And when we can strengthen that muscle of contemplation and actually work alongside someone,
Hmm.
so many things crack open.
Yeah. One of the things that I would add to what you're saying too is they're never wrong. And I realize that I have made this habit of always, and which is great for me because ultimately has I've become very self-aware, but I've always looked at myself like, oh, I'm the problem. It's my fault. Like,
Yes.
and then so I'm just working on myself. And then I figured out, no, I'm not actually the problem.
No,
It
that's
took me a
just
long time to get
positioning.
there.
They're
Yeah.
positioning themselves. They listen, they position themselves, they'll hear something and set themselves up like, oh, watch this. Oh, see, I'm never wrong. And they drip those things into the ears of the unsuspecting.
Mm,
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, they are always right. They're always right. They're always right. And we just keep
yeah.
handing our power away. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
I'm so glad to be out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. So, do you believe that we can ever fully separate ourselves from our story, or is it about transforming our relationship to it?
Mm. I think to deny your story is to deny yourself. I think the transformation of your story and how you really view it is what matters. And even going back to earlier in the conversation, one of the things that I said was looking back at my journal is really hard for me. And I could feel sorry for myself and I could be a victim, and I'm choosing not to be. I get to decide how I'm living my life. And so does everybody else. And I think taking ownership, and that goes into some of the other questions about where we're heading and all that, and what we can do for ourselves, is basically be sovereign and realize that we get to decide what we do about each thing that life is handing us. And you know what? Sometimes you get handed some really difficult, challenging cards. And those are the greatest stories, though, of the underdog, right?
Oh,
Rising.
yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you need to like be someone famous or like do something, but how can you bring a positive impact into your community and into your own life and not be someone that is like creating more of a burden or hardship for anybody else? You know, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think so too. It really is a choice.
Hmm.
And some choose to, continue the pattern and others choose to break the chain.
Hmm.
I want to be the chain breaker. That
Yeah.
is what I try to do, is to break the chain. I welcome challenge.
Hmm.
I don't always like it,
Yeah.
but I think it's important to welcome it.
Yeah.
Not from everyone, but
Mhm.
the people that are very close to me. Um, and maybe I shouldn't say I don't welcome it from everyone, but I look at who they are. You know,
Mhm.
who are they? How are they living their life? Is this something that is going to help
Yeah.
me to look at?
Well, I would add that not everybody's receptive to like change. Not everybody wants to have like create a life that's impacting in a positive way. And sometimes I myself have come up against this a couple times where it's like I'm trying to create like help somebody, but then I'm stomping on their journey. So there is a part where you have to let them do their work, you know? The people that I've impacted in a positive way, they came to me because they were ready for it.
That's
I
right.
don't deal with people where I have to like coax them into doing something. No,
No.
if I need to like lead you a certain type of way, I'm doing the work for you. And that took me a while to learn too, where it wasn't I think we all have been guilty of that at one point, especially in our healing journey, because we have like a little bit of our ego still too that we're like, oh, just do this thing. Like if you like I know a lot of people that try and like with the ayahuasca, that's not going to be for everybody. You know what I mean? Not
So true.
everybody's on that path.
Yes.
So, but I feel like you want everybody to do it once you do it.
Of course. That's
Not,
how it is with everything, right?
yeah,
It's
exactly.
like you
Have
just
their
want them to
experience.
try.
Yeah.
And but such good advice.
Yeah.
Such good advice that we really can't change anyone, and we can invite, we
Yeah.
can offer, but be careful if it starts to hurt you, if you're starting to feel hurt, that they're
Yeah.
not coming alongside of you. Because when you go through this is what happened to me when I really started my journey. All of a sudden there was a shedding in my life where there were people that just didn't like me anymore, or I didn't like
Yeah.
them anymore, or that I could see the dynamics of the relationship that weren't healthy. And I
Mhm.
just said, I am not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And I was very open. I was very, very open, saying, this is the dynamic that I see in myself, and I want you to know that I'm not doing that anymore. And I
Mhm.
think when it gets really difficult is when you're working with somebody who wants to change you. And then you say, I'm not doing that anymore. Like I'm taking control of my own life.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they don't really know what to do.
Yeah.
And finding a reliable coach, because
Mhm.
coaches can fall into that as well. They can want you to be dependent, they can want to enable. There's all
Mhm.
kinds of things that end up happening,
Yeah.
even in the yoga world too.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, even in the
Um,
yoga world.
I think that, I guess for that question too, I think it's just really important to always try and lead by example more than anything else and stay open and receptive and lead with love. Lead by example and lead with love.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at the bottom.
true. Yeah, for sure. So, in your own words, how are you stronger than your story?
Ooh, how am I stronger than my story? Uh, well, my story, I think, is one of strength. Like, I think because it's resilience, like it's taken a lot of like self-discipline and trial and error to to like overcome some things and and realize that it's not just one story. It might be my life story, but there's tons of stories. Like, we have stories. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they're like, I have like a boring life. And then they were telling me about all these countries that they were in when they were in the military and all these things. And I was like, you know how many people would be interested in hearing that? You know, that's not everybody has such a different life and a different purpose. And people tend to think that there is nothing exciting going on in their life when there really is always magical things happening. And things are happening for us, not to us,
Mm.
right? So having that reframe of the things that I went through happened for me, and I feel like because I was already destined to overcome them and hold space for other people that might be going through the same thing and hold space for people where I wish that I could have had me. I wish I would have had somebody like me come in and do a thing, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing is to think about how, when you think about the people that have positively impacted you, whether that again is someone famous, an author, or because I love Louise Hay. I never met the
I
lady,
do too. Yeah.
but like, can you imagine if she just decided to roll over and give up? You know how many people she's fucking impacted in such a positive way?
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine if she decided with her story to just roll over and give up?
Yeah.
No.
Such an excellent point.
Yeah. So it's always just like keep going, keep going, keep going. You
Right.
don't know where you're going to end up.
No.
And just like you said, like pushing beyond your comfort zone, you don't know where that's going to take you. And I have like, it's crazy because whenever I try and force something in a certain direction, it's like, that's not the thing, but here comes this other opportunity. Like, so it's just do your thing. Do what you're
Yeah.
being called to do. Really.
Well, and many roads lead to the same direction. I can't remember
Yeah.
if it was Viva Viconda. I can't even speak right now.
Yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't know who said that, but there's like the parable of all roads lead to Rome. All roads
Yes, there
lead to
you
Rome.
go.
Yeah.
And I have a shell that has ridges through it, and there's a little diamond at the base where all those little ridges meet, and it just reminds me that
Yeah. Yeah.
our journey, there's no wrong way. It really is in the journey. That's where our capacity for joy grows. That's where things happen. That's where we learn things. It's not about the destination, right?
Yeah.
It's not about the destination. Otherwise, we just helicopter up to the top of every mountain, right? We would
Well,
just be like,
it's not
oh,
about the destination because we all die in the end.
right,
Spoiler
right.
alert. Spoiler
Yeah,
alert. None of us make it out. So,
that is true. That
yeah.
is true. Yeah.
I know
And
that sounds dark, but it's also, I feel like it's just, it should, to me, it feels like, yeah, I'm not making it out of here. So what am I going to do today?
right.
I still get to breathe into these lungs and like be in the sunshine today, like anyway.
I know for a while there, my trauma overwhelmed me quite a bit.
Hmm.
And it was very difficult. Um, when I was younger, it was about shame, shaming and shaming and shaming and shaming and even throughout my 20s, and that's just the way that our society was. And I remember people telling me if my 2-year old was having a fit, oh, just laugh at her, right? And it's like just shame, 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 shame. And I think that that is really embedded deeply in our culture.
Yeah.
Um, and so being able to kind of get over yourself,
Mhm.
right? I used to get embarrassed so easily because I had to be perfect. So it would be so embarrassing if I had to, if had to do something a little bit out of my norm.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I like to say is don't be afraid to just dip your toe in the water. And
Hmm.
especially with the decision to write a book,
Hmm.
I love the artist's way because you just start with 3 pages and it's not even, you're not writing a book, you're just writing whatever's on your mind.
Right.
And so it's like just dipping your toe in the water is such a beautiful piece to awareness, regulation, because
Hmm.
we can always take it out. When you dive in, it's a little bit harder to get out.
Uh-huh.
So, what do you want every woman listening to walk away with knowing today?
Ooh, I would love every woman to walk away with uh just feeling full of themselves. I, I actually said that I facilitated at a retreat and I was like, I was taking pictures of a couple of the ladies I was helping to model, and I was like, I just want every woman to feel so full of themselves because I feel like it would alleviate so much drama between women that can sometimes happen. And I just want every woman to feel so fucking good about themselves. I want them to feel good in their body. I want them to feel good, regardless of age, demographic, like weight, whatever. Like just to think about how much your body's been through and how, like, we are literally the creator, right? I saw a post the other day that someone said, like, since when does creator like serve their creation or something like that? Because at the end of the day, whether you're a woman or a man, you came from a woman.
Oh,
So,
so true.
and I just think that women are so powerful. And that's what, because I think women sometimes are down to if they can't have kids or, And it doesn't matter because you're still the divine creator. And to like honor that creator energy, I don't care if you want to write words, if you want to paint, if you want to sew, if you just want to simply adorn yourself however you want. Women are art. We're all beautiful. We're all value. We are all the creator, and bringing in that beautiful artistic spin on your unique vision in your life, that's what matters, and that's what I want. That's what I want women to take. It's a tall order, but if you could just do that for me real quick, tag me in your post. Like, no,
I
but
think it's great.
I just think that women are, we just are so hard on ourselves. And then we're really hard on each other because we're hard on ourselves. And I just think that it's unfair to hold all women to such a high standard and pick each other apart. And like the more that we can just look at ourselves and look at our own shit and just fall in love with ourselves and our own life, the more we're gonna bring that to other people and other relationships and honor like other people's what they're bringing in, you know?
Yeah, it's also keeping track of our own toxicity
Hmm.
because when we are needing to commiserate, that's toxic, right?
Yeah.
When we are in gossip, that's toxic.
Yeah.
But when we are focusing on, okay, what can I learn here? How can I show up differently? How can I word what I need or my sentences in a more healthy way? How can I focus on the positive? What can I be aware of today?
Mm-hmm.
Um, all of those things. And then also not forgetting about spirituality and that, yes, there will be an end to our time here.
Hmm.
So, what is it that I want to do? And I know for me, I don't think I've shared this publicly, but I don't remember my grandmother's voice because I was 16 when she passed away and I'm 60. So I don't remember her voice. And that bothers me. It just bothers me because I really loved her so much. Um, and when I started doing yoga nidra, a lot of people would say, "Gosh, I love your voice. I could listen to your voice. Oh, you got a great voice for this." And I started a YouTube channel, and then I started doing Insight Timer and as a teacher and those types of things. And then I had, my grandchildren, and it was like, oh my gosh, I'm really fulfilling a need that I had. So my
Hmm.
grandchildren, as long as there's YouTube or Insight Timer, they're going to be able to know my
Oh,
voice,
yeah.
right? And so there's just those little things that we can carry
Mhm.
through of what was it that I did need,
Yeah.
because through our needs and through our wounds, we can serve others. And
Hmm.
it's not always going to look the same. It's going to be unique and individual and special and those types of things.
Hmm.
So if someone did want to work with you or find you, how
Hmm.
can they find you?
Um, you can always email me at solevolution8@gmail.com. So it's SOL evolution a at gmail.com, or my Instagram is I am Bettina underscore Evans, and my name is Bettina Evans. I guess it's right on here and they could see that. But yeah, email or message me on the gram or Facebook. I usually check all of them pretty regularly, so yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. I felt like this was a very enlightening conversation.
Yeah.
And I also invite the listeners to go back because your interview is on my YouTube channel. So if you want to listen to the first one where she really talks a lot about tarot and all kinds of things we were
Oh
chatting
yeah,
about. Yeah.
we talked more about esoteric things.
Yes, we did. And your travels too, worldly
Mhm.
travels. We talked about that too.
Mhm.
So I invite you all to listen to Bettina. All right. Well, thank you, Bettina.
Thank you.